Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm your host, Mel Albin, and I'm the founder of the show. The show is different. What we do is we have on artists that are really top of the line artists who have had really amazing careers. We have most of the artists that we have on, have all have had hits in the top 10 on Billboard. They have produced a volume of work to demonstrate their commitment to the industry, to their own music, and they really are, they're interesting people aside from their music, and that's the nature of the show. I want you to get to know the artist, and to understand also the difficulty of creating music in a changing industry environment. We went from records and radio to AI within 20 years. And it's a big change, and artists have had to adjust. And we've had some great artists. We've had at least 100 artists. This is season 4 of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. We've had Eric Roberson, Mesa, Annie Lennox, Billy Ocean, Eric Burden, Bobby Caldwell, Blake Aaron, Kiku Matsui, Raheem Devon, Dwele, Hill Street Soul, Pieces of a Dream, Kelly Finnegan, Bob James, Selena Johnson, Dion Parson, Alex Harris, Brian Culbertson. I mean, I could go on and on. We've had so many great artists on the Power Hour. And tonight is no exception. We have another really special guest artist for you tonight. The mission of the Power Hour is to introduce you to artists as both everyday people and as professionals, allowing our listeners and viewers to go behind the mind and understand them. So we're going to play some of the music tonight, and you're going to meet somebody who's really an exceptional artist and very entertaining. She's a wonderful singer-songwriter. She's a vocalist. She's a former news station writer and anchor, a public information manager, a journalism instructor, and now a partner in Touch of Class Productions to produce live shows. And she currently is producing a live show right now. She'll be performing with Paul Brown on June 28th in Youngstown, Ohio. So please welcome tonight our very special guest to the Power Hour, Sharon Rae Nirth.
Hey.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Wonderful. I'm so pleased to have you on. We already have a comment from a listener, Ellis White. Sharon Rae Nirth, great to see you on this show. Been following you for a while now, and look forward to more great accomplishments from you in the future.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, so we're starting off right off the top with somebody really, who really knows your music and loves your music. And Ellis White is also a jazz guitar musician who is just excellent. And I've had Ellis on the show before also. So, welcome to the show again. That's a good way to start off.
It is.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what's cooking? What's going on with you, new releases? What are you doing in 2024?
I do plan on releasing some holiday music later in the year. Probably either 2 original tunes or 1 original and 1 cover of, a holiday favorite. Got some shows coming up. You just mentioned Paul Brown. I just had one last Thursday, I believe it was, in Richmond, Virginia. So just kind of piddling around and seeing what I can get into. And then there is the concert series that my business partner, Fritz Germain, and I are producing in Youngstown, Ohio. We had our first show on Saturday with Kim Waters. So there's like a lot of irons in the fire right now.
That's great. It's nice that you have a lot of different things going on, because you don't get stale. You're moving from one thing to another.
Mhm.
Keeps your enthusiasm going. It's wonderful. I want to start off by getting to know people to know you a little bit more. So I'm curious, when was your first introduction to music as a child? Was it in your house? Was it in school? When did you really start to listen to music?
My parents were very, very musical. My mom, she's 86 years old now, and she had the most beautiful voice. I remember being out on the patio when I was little. My older sister is 6 years older than me. Her birthday is tomorrow, and happy birthday, Jen. So my mom would be out on the patio. My sister would be at school. My dad would be at work, and my mom would be cooking. And the windows would be up, and she would be in there just singing like Somewhere Over the Rainbow and different songs. And her voice was just absolutely amazing. And we listened to, my dad was a straight ahead jazz person. He loved Charlie Parker was his favorite, and he liked King Curtis and the Kingpins. And so I grew up listening to that stuff. My mom was more into people like Nancy Wilson, one of my favorites, and Della Reese and stuff like that. So my sister and I, we listen to kids' records too, but we listen to like Mary Poppins and stuff, which of course was Julie Andrews, So we were surrounded by wonderful music. And I was a little tiny girl sitting next to my mom and dad's hi-fi. You remember the hi-fi?
Sure.
I'd be sitting on the floor and I'd be right next to it with my ear at the speaker. And I didn't realize it then, but I was studying those voices, and aside from sitting on the floor next to a hi-fi, I still listen to voices the same way that I did when I was a little girl.
Wow, that's fabulous. Where did you grow up? What town?
Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay. Back to the scene of the crime, right?
Yeah, that's where I was born and raised. My parents were born and raised there. All of my grandparents and my mom and dad's older siblings were all born in Georgia. But once they moved to Ohio, my dad was born, my mom was born, and that's where I grew up.
Was there any one artist you could recall when you had your ear pressed to the speaker that really was the most influential to you?
Nancy Wilson.
Wonderful choice.
Yeah, I would listen to her forever, trying to, I'm probably like 4 or 5 years old, trying to sustain those notes and singing along with her. And I could envision my audience back then. I could see those people sitting out there listening to me singing.
See, that's wonderful, and it's something that you really don't hear. I haven't heard an artist say that before. When in their childhood, they were able to envision themselves performing. Of course, they will stand up and sing in front of family members, but to visualize it internally, that probably the die was cast really early that you're going to do some music at some point.
Yeah, it was very early. My mom would say, you'd sing at the opening of an envelope, so.
That's great.
I just loved it. I still do.
Well, Nancy Wilson is a great mentor to have in the past. But when you look around today, all artists evolve. Who are some of the contemporary musical influences that you really respect a lot today?
My favorite is Oleta Adams. The first time I heard Get Here, I was driving my car and it was on the radio, and I was like, whose voice is that? Her tone, her resonance, just the richness of it, the articulation, the phrasing. I mean, she is my favorite. And I actually think, as popular as she is, she's still an underrated artist.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And her talent is just monumental. And there are a few others. I love Layla Hathaway, but I loved Donny Hathaway, and she sings so much like him. My dad turned me on to Donny Hathaway when I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. He gave me some Donny Hathaway music, and I just fell in love with him. And I'm the same about Layla. I like Samara Joy.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
She's been on the show too.
Just a beautiful, beautiful voice. So there are a few out there. I like Lindsay Webster. You
I
know,
don't, I don't know Lindsay Webster.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So there's a few out there that I really like to listen to.
I'm surprised that when you talked about one of the things I did hear you say that when you talk about your musical influences, they've been female artists. I guess you probably listened to Luther a lot too. I'm sure you did.
Not as much as you would think.
Really?
Yeah. I mentioned women because of the contemporary, but I was a huge, just major Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
I spent like over $400 on 2 tickets to see Tony Bennett one time.
Yeah.
I took my mom. Really, she just went with me because I really wanted to go. But I loved Tony. I loved Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole. Man, just amazing. So yeah, and I mean, but I did like Luther. Ron Isley. I liked Isley a lot, and I liked the OJs. Eddie Levert. But something about the voices that were singing the standards, because I mean, people know me now for like the smooth jazz and contemporary, but my first genre is actually standards. So I love listening to that type of music. I did when I was a kid, so those voices, Mel Torme, Ella Fitzgerald, those voices, Sarah Vaughan. Wow.
When you mentioned some of the voices that you've mentioned, just take a Frank Sinatra, Arthur Fiedler of the Boston Pops, when Sinatra performed with them, he would have them tune their instruments to his voice. He had perfect pitch.
Mm.
And so you like voices. I'm not surprised you picked Tony Bennett and you picked Frank Sinatra or Mel Torme or any of them. They all had incredible voices, pure voices.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I miss a lot today. In
I
a
do
lot
too.
of the, you do too, yeah.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I've seen signs of a lot of the older kinds of music coming back, where voices matter, instruments actually matter.
Yes.
It's not just beats. So I think it's evolving again. It always changes,
I
but I
hope
think it's
so.
evolving. Yeah, I do too. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, did you pursue music in public school or college?
I did not actually. Well, not in school, and I went to private school for like 12 years and we had band and stuff, but I was kind of shy, and I tried out for the senior play at my high school and we had to sing. I remember it was South Pacific, and the lady, she would not let me in. She said, "Well, you sing too softly. You have a pretty voice, but you sing too softly." And so I did not get into the senior play. Now, I took some classes in college, like voice classes and things like that. I took music theory, and that was an absolute nightmare because it turns the music into math, and I am not a math person. So when they were doing compound quadruple time and stuff, and everybody's got their little staffs out and they were writing, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, and the professor, finally, she said to me one day, she said, "The light's just not coming on, is it?"
That's great.
And I said, "No."
That must have made you feel good.
Well, I mean, it was so true. I couldn't do. I'm like, no, it really is not. So I had to drop out of music theory, because it just made zero sense to me. And maybe it was the way it was being taught. Maybe I needed remedial, or something.
Sharon, from all the artists I've had on, there are a number of artists like yourself, some of which really had no formal training. They still can't read music, um, but they do everything by ear, and they're excellent vocalists, and their tonalities and their timing. They have a natural affinity, a feeling for the music. So a lot of times, of course, I'm not going to denigrate the importance of voice training or education, but you gotta have the goods to start off with, and
and you have to, because for some people, like me, singing came very natural,
mhm,
but for a lot of athletes, it came very natural, but that doesn't mean that they didn't have a coach and they didn't have
right,
trainers and they didn't like. I go to the Johns Hopkins Voice Center in Maryland, and I work with a vocal therapist there named Melissa, who is just absolutely excellent. A couple years ago, I had a pseudocyst on my right vocal cord,
wow,
and I basically had no voice. I had no high, nothing. And sometimes it's I noticed my voice was tired. And sometimes I wouldn't even be talking or singing. I'd just be sitting watching TV and it just felt fatigued. And then one day I was talking to someone and it just went like that. It was gone. And it scared me. I mean, it scared me to death, pretty much. And I went to otolaryngologist, which I usually have those on speed dial. And I ended up with Melissa at Johns Hopkins, and she brought my voice back.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Talking about a natural singer, I just what came into my mind is Ringo Starr singing. All you got to do is sing naturally. I don't know if you remember the Beatles song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For some people, that works.
It worked for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does work. So when was your aha moment? When did you have the moment? I know you've had multiple careers, but when did you decide I really want to do this?
Well, I always knew, from the time I was that little girl envisioning my audience sitting on the floor, I knew. And someone asked me one time, did you just wake up one day and decided to become a singer? And I'm like, no, I woke up one day and let the singer become. The singer was always there. And I knew she was there, So I just decided, hey, because I was always dabbling in it, doing little things in the studio and doing little things with a band here and there. I was always dabbling. And then I decided, okay, let's do it.
So when did you stop dabbling and decide that you want to give a live performance? You want to be on stage and do it?
Well, my first actual live performance, I was probably about maybe 19 or so. And my first cousin, asked me to sing, lift every voice and sing at a Black History Month event. And I said, okay. And I did it. And there may have been a couple hundred people there. And I was so nervous. I was glad there was a podium there because my legs were shaking. And I was just, and I had the words there, because we did several verses. And I never even looked up at the audience. I just, looked down at the words and sang with my legs shaking. And that was my first live performance.
And when would you say was your first professional performance?
Oh, wow. Oh, it's been a I don't even remember what it was. It's been a long time. I don't even quite remember what that first professional performance was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I do remember we didn't have nobody had a PA system. So I remember going to Guitar Center and buying one.
Oh my goodness.
using it for years, just a PA head and, and having that at the shows. And for years and years, musicians used to say to me, wow, most vocalists don't show up with anything and you show up with your PA, I'm like, hey, I got to be ready, and even now I go places and I've heard musicians say, you got your own mics. I'm like, I got tons of mics. I don't like using other people's mics if I can help it. These mics are dirty. They're nasty. They're filthy. So I'd rather have my own dirty, nasty, filthy mic than somebody else's. But I'll sit for hours with all my mics, cleaning them. I have the cleaning kits and stuff.
Well, you're one of the singers that has good hygiene.
Yes. I actually was at a spot one time and I didn't bring my mic and they had their mic up and I stepped up to it and I stepped back. I'm like, no, somebody better clean this mic or there's no show. And they got it together, but you have to keep that stuff clean. I don't want to see somebody's lipstick all globbed up in it, and I've seen that,
Oh God, that's great.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, since you don't remember your first live performance, do you remember your first recorded song?
I do. One of my best friends, his name is Clarence Ross, and he played with the Isley Brothers for years and years. He's a sax player, and he programmed a lot of their music, and he worked with En Vogue and all kinds of people. And he's from Youngstown. And one time we went in the studio because he's also an engineer, and we recorded Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
An original.
My first recording. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That was your first one. And what did you do with it?
Nothing. I don't even know if we did the entire song. I don't think we did. I think we just did part of it. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, let's let everybody hear a real song that you recorded, and it's a hit. It's doing really well. It's been charting. It's called "The Kiss That Wakes You." So why don't you tell everybody before we play it for them a little bit about the backstory on this beautiful song?
This song was written by a vocalist percussionist named Vinx. And Vinx has been around for a long time, played with Sting and lots of different people, Brenda Russell. And he had a festival that he did for a few years in the south of France called Chalab Rensarnade. And I went to it for a couple years. In the first year, he was in his home studio with a keyboard player who has since passed named Aaron Todd. And I just happened to walk in and I heard it, but it was a very slow, mellow version with a searing guitar solo in it and a rapper. But I'm like, Vinx, I want that song. And he was like, okay. So a couple years later, I sent it to my producer, Chris Big Dog Davis, and I said, let's do this. And what you hear is what we came up with.
Who did the arranging?
Chris Davis, Big Dog Davis, did the arrangement.
And
I think all the instruments on it.
Okay, so it wasn't your band. It was just
no.
A bunch of cats in the studio. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's hear. I love this song, "Kiss That Wakes You," by Sharon Rae Nirth. Okay.
You keep keeping me from keeping you guessing. Guess I was guessing wrong. Did I come on too strong? Well, I am strong. your starry night, spreading your wings for flight. I'll be the wind that takes you. And as you dream one night, under the dawn's first light, I'll be the kiss that wakes you, shadowing your soul. I'll be the one. Was I way off base? I couldn't tell by your face. You can be so deceiving. Oh, come on, boy, what you got to lose? Your mama won't disapprove. I know she will love me too. I'll be your starry night, spreading your wings for flight. I'll be the wind that takes you. And as you dream one night, under the dawn's first light, I'll be the kiss that wakes you. Come on. I'll be your starry night, spreading your wings for flight. I'll be the wind that takes you. And as you dream one night, under the dawn's first light, I'll be the kiss that wakes you, shadowing your soul. I'll be the one. You keep keeping me from keeping you guessing. Guess I was guessing wrong. Did I come on too strong? Well, I am strong. I'll be your starry night, spreading your wings for flight. I'll be the wind that takes you. And as you dream one night, under the dawn's first light, I'll be the kiss that wakes you. I'll be your starry night, spreading your wings for flight. I'll be the wind that takes you. And as you dream one night, under the dawn's first light, I'll be the kiss that wakes you. The kiss that wakes you. Come on.
Ah, that's such a beautiful song. I love that, Sharon.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit more about, when you were in the studio doing the song. Was there a lot of post-production on this, or was it nailed the first time? Tell us a little bit about the process.
Because most of this album, Silhouette, was recorded during COVID. We were virtual, so I was not in the studio with Big Dog or with Paul Brown. They were in like on Zoom. And sometimes not at all. Sometimes I did all the vocal arrangements and everything myself. Like that one. I had the track that Big Dog sent me, and I went in a studio in Richmond, Virginia, an In Your Ear studio, and I did the vocal arrangement myself. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's always a little lonely. And when I listened to that song and others off of that album, there's so many things that I would have done differently, but I recorded a 10-song album with a pseudo cyst on my vocal cord. So it was not easy, you know, but there were things I just couldn't do, you know, that I would have liked to have been able to do.
You know, I have not had an artist on the show yet, and when I asked them this kind of question, who didn't have regrets, things they would have liked to have done differently.
Yeah.
You know, when I had Brian Culbertson on, he was telling me he had just completed a song that he really loved, and he was listening to it, and all of a sudden it hit him. He wanted a horn, and there was no horn. And so he had to go back and go into the studio. You know, I mean, it's never over till it's over. And that's another question, you know. When do you let go of it? You know, when do you say that's as good as it's going to get? It's not easy.
No, it's not. But at a certain point, it is what it is, you know, and it's like, gotta let it go, you know.
Yeah. You know, and this is the other thing too. People don't understand the painstaking labor that went into it after you recorded it. You know, and when you're ready, when it's radio ready and you're ready to let go of it, it's not an easy process. You just don't get up and sing. You know, especially recording. Yeah. So, you know, the fact that you did your own vocal arrangements, that's wonderful. Okay. And, yeah, another kind of question. You've done covers also. How do you select what songs to cover? How do you decide what goes into an LP? I mean, how do you make these decisions?
Usually it's songs that I like, or, you know, an artist that I like on Silhouette. We have a couple covers. We have Piano in the Dark by Brenda Russell. And that's just a song that I just absolutely love. We have I Will Be Here For You, which Al Jarreau did that one. And I actually didn't pick that one. Big Dog picked that one. Heart of Mine, which Paul Brown produced. You know, I remember listening to that song in the late 80s and thinking, wow, I'm gonna record that one day.
It's a great song.
Yeah, and we did it for this album. So it's just a matter of a song that I like and how it's going to fit with the album. You know, sure. Because if it's not going to fit, then maybe it'll be on another project. But there has to be some type of synchronicity, some type of, you know, it has to be there in line with what we're doing.
Have you ever done a thematic album?
You know, not really. No, I kind of say, well, most of my albums have love themes to them, but not really. I've not.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious. You know that sometimes artists want to do that just to break away from what they've done before. So they'll try to do something, or they have a lot of songs in their repertoire, and they start saying, "Hey, this could be a nice theme," you know. So
right,
yeah. So which songwriter do you admire the most when you think about songwriters, and why?
I like Brenda Russell, Diane Warren.
Great songwriter.
Yeah, there's. You know, because so many performers are also songwriters. They're writing a lot of the songs that they record or that other people record, you know, so it's kind of hard. And then some people only record songs that other people have written, you know, so they're not necessarily songwriters, they're performing artists. But I think those are two of my favorites. You know, that just really, their work it's just superb, you know, and a lot of times people don't realize Smokey Robinson, you know.
I love him,
yeah. I went to see him one time in New York at the Apollo Theater, and Smokey did about 2 hours that evening, and it was only songs he'd written. The entire performance. And you're sitting there and you're like, I didn't realize he wrote that. because somebody else sang it and made it famous. Babyface, love Babyface. So there are a lot of phenomenal songwriters, and sometimes you're hearing people sing their songs and you don't even know that person wrote it.
Well, it reminds me of something that Billy Joel once said about Bob Dylan. He said he's written more songs than there are words.
Wow. And he did. He wrote a ton of songs.
Yeah. So let's pick up on this theme a little bit more. If you could collaborate with any composer, lyricist, musician, vocalist from any period, any time, who would be your number one choice?
I think as far as a vocalist, I would love to do a song with Leslie Odom Jr.
Okay.
His voice is just absolute perfection, and I would love to do something with him. And what are the other options?
It could be a lyricist, a musician, a vocalist, a composer. Anybody who you want to collaborate with.
If he were still alive, Burt Bacharach.
Oh wow, you really do like that. You really do like those classics.
I do. Yeah. He'd be one at the top of the list. Nat King Cole. Because I would love to have been able to do a song with Nancy Wilson, one with Etta James, Ella. There's just a lot of people. I would love to do one with Olita Adams. Olita, if you're out there. Yeah, so
that's wonderful. I've had some artists when I asked them this question on the show. One said Beethoven. The one that really surprised me, I had Dwelle on this show, and Dwelle said Minnie Riperton.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting who people pick up on. And in fact, I'm not surprised that you said Burt Bacharach at all. Given what you've told everybody already today about your musical proclivity. Yeah. So,
I'd like to do something with maybe Trombone Shorty, because I like him, and just any of the Marsalises. Just take your pick. They're also talented.
Can't go wrong there.
No, just so many. There's just so many, that you can pick from. I love working with Paul Brown and with Big
Paul Brown he's going to be on my show too. He's coming up. He's spectacular. And another person that's going to be on my show in September is John Batiste.
Oh,
and he does incredibly interesting stuff. His selection is wonderful.
Yeah, he's a different type of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What would you describe as your greatest strength as a performer and your greatest weakness?
Wow, I think. Other than my voice, I think my greatest strength is interacting with the audience.
Okay.
I love doing that. I don't know how well I would be if I were performing in stadiums with 50,000 people, because I like people up close to me. I like the intimacy where I can talk to people right there and ask them, hey, what's that dessert you're having, or something. I like that. Now I wouldn't be opposed to the stadium, but I like.
I was going to say, well, I hope you get a chance to try it out.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do like, being up close and personal with the audience. My weakness is, wow. That's a good question.
Come on, be honest here.
What would be my greatest weakness? Is overthinking. Overthinking the performance, and
Got it.
and when I'm on stage, I tend to get very deeply focused in my technique, and this note is going here and that note is going there. And in my head, I'm placing them, and if I'm having an off night, a sore throat, or don't feel good, or if my voice just, because now that she's vintage, she doesn't want to cooperate with me, then I have to say, okay, that note's not going there. It's going to go here. It used to be back in the day when people laugh at me because I refer to my voice as her and she, because while she is in me, she inhabits my body, she's her own thing. She doesn't wake up in the morning the same time I wake up, not the singing voice. She wants to stay asleep, and she gets tired. And
I'm sure she doesn't listen to you either.
Not anymore. It used to be when I say go, she'd go. Now sometimes I say go, and she's like, no,
tonight.
We're not doing that tonight. So, audience typically doesn't know that, but
Sure.
yeah,
Sure, but you know it.
I know it. Yeah.
Let's play another one of your songs. I love your music. I want to play "We Should Be in Love." So, why don't you tell people a little bit about that song, how that evolved?
I wrote the lyrics and the melody for that song, and people always think that it's just this crazy "I'm in love" type of thing, but it really wasn't. The word stars just kept going around in my head, and the word silhouette. And I'm like, okay, I keep hearing silhouette was just the word, but stars was like stars. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to marry these two into a song. And I wrote "We Should Be in Love," silhouette.
You did the lyrics. Did you have music first, or how did the music evolve?
What? It's funny for me. The lyrics and the melody come at the same time. They always do. When I get ready to write the song, the melody is there, and of course, it's not perfect. You have to play with it some and have to make the words fit and rearrange the words. And okay, this line is going to be a little too long compared to that line, and so measuring everything out, and then having someone like Big Dog make it happen and sound the way it does. So.
I bet sometimes you're surprised when it comes out the other side.
Nearly all the time with him.
Yeah.
Nearly. I'm like, wow.
I do that. Yeah, I know. It's a great feeling, when you hear it and you can appreciate what you just accomplished. Mm-hmm. So let's play "We Should Be in Love" by Sharon Rae Nirth.
Imagining you on the shore, stars light you in silhouette. Your tide is rising, rushing deep in me, making me so wet. And all I want is to hold you, feel you next to me. Tell you you're all I want, you're everything I need. We should be in love. Counting the hours till I see the pleasures night will bring. The wine and candles and the slow dance, how your romance me. And all I want is to together on the shore. Stars light us in silhouette. We're making love beneath the moon. Stars light us in silhouette. We should be in love. Mm-hmm. We should be in love. We should be in love. We should be in love.
That is such a beautiful song. I love that. I mean,
Nina Albright on background vocals on that.
who did the guitar work?
I have no idea.
Okay, it was really good.
Yeah, big dog.
Yeah, it's really a great song. I love that.
Thank you.
When did you do that one?
When did we do that one?
Yeah, was that during COVID too?
Yeah, that whole album. So maybe in 21, 22. Yeah, I think the album came out in 22. So I probably recorded that one in 21, I guess.
It's a wonderful, really great track. You know, you've been around the industry for a while now. When you look around at all the changes that have taken place since 2000 and also post-COVID, now we have the introduction of AI. You know, we went from records and vinyl to tapes and then CDs and then streaming, and now we have AI. How do you see this impacting artists like yourself? Are you comfortable with these changes that have been happening so rapidly?
Not totally. Change is inevitable.
Sure.
You know, and a lot of times it's necessary. But sometimes I think that we're moving so fast, and a lot of things that we do, sure, they may make it easier and more convenient, you know, that you have all these plugins, you know, so that you can create all of these different sounds and all this music. You can basically, if you know how to use the technology, you can record an album all by yourself without one musician, you know. So things like that I don't like, you know, because one, it puts people out of work, and I think that it kind of bastardizes the music.
Definitely.
You know, I like real musicians and real music. And I realize that sometimes you may need that playback track, you know, at the gig, you know, and stuff for the background vocals, or, you know, something that you may not have on stage with you. But I think that sometimes we just do too much.
You know, I think you're really right on target with this. You know, if it wasn't for beats and loops, you wouldn't have hip hop.
Right.
And if it wasn't for hip hop, you wouldn't have beats and loops. So, you know, and that eliminates a lot of orchestration, instrumentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that you're eliminating jobs. You know, when change came from analog to digital, the music was transformed in terms of, you know, the range and pitch, you know, and tonality. And now we go from digital to streaming, and even more of the instrumentation and, you know, the depth of the music is lost. And, you know, a lot of artists that came from a previous generation, like Sheryl Crow, for one, you know, she has been livid about the fact that songs now are being written by computers. It's a team of people. It's not a songwriter. It's not a lyricist and a composer anymore. You know, and the technology determines the hook. It determines, you know, it's like you said. I mean, it's not that it doesn't have value, but it's transformative in terms of the experience, the human element of music.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and you know, so I understand what you're saying, and to me, it's sad.
It
Right?
is sad. It really is. And how what's sad to me a lot of times too is that we don't hearken back and bring everything forward. Um, you don't get the Chopin and the Tchaikovsky and the Beethoven and the Rachmaninoff. They're not bringing it forward a lot of times. And I mean, it's a big world. There's room for everything,
Sure.
but we've had like the 50 years of hip hop, all year. And it's that I didn't realize it had been 50 years, it's a long
I
time.
know.
But what do we say the 400 years of Beethoven? No, and there's still room for all of that. I don't want one day for all of that music to just be relics,
Sure.
that's just gone by the wayside. I want it all to remain because it's all significant. It's all important. I sang for a while with a 19-piece orchestra, the big band, and it was just wonderful. It was fabulous, and I don't want things like that to get lost
Sure.
because they're important musically.
That's why I love people like Bruno Mars and Jean Baptiste,
Mhm.
because they are bringing, they do go back and sample, from more of a classical era of popular music, and that's why I really respect cover artists who do covers. Macy Gray is a longtime friend, and she does fabulous. Yeah, she does fabulous covers. This song selection's off the chain, but when she does a cover, she makes it her own, but
Right.
she brings the music forward from the past to the present, so we don't lose track. Covers are vital to keep the traditions of music alive.
Mhm.
So I never look at cover artists as, well, you don't compose your own music. I look at it, if they're really good song stylists, that you're doing everybody a blessing by keeping that music alive.
Yes. On all of my projects, there have been at least one or two cover songs.
Yeah, it's great.
It's important. It matters. And, just because the song may not be contemporary or current doesn't mean that it's still not an important and essential piece of music.
That's right.
So we can't let them die. We can't let all that music just die off.
No. And AI, to me, it's taking things now to a realm where you don't need any human intervention.
Hmm.
You don't have to be able to play a single instrument. When Prince did his first album, he played every instrument,
Every instrument, yeah.
every one. Now people can make an album without playing one instrument, without even singing.
Right.
Yeah. So what is that? And it's again, I'm older, so maybe I'm more of a traditionalist. Even when rap came around, it's poetry and music. It's poetry put to music, but is it really music? It's syncopation more than it is music. And I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying that and this is what I think what you're referring to also. In the midst of all this, we have to always keep the history alive that had something special to offer.
Absolutely.
It does. Yeah. So I appreciate what you're thinking about. That's why I wanted to ask you about it too. When we're talking about this, are there any young artists that are emerging that you're familiar with that you think have something powerful to offer?
Some of them are already pretty established. Like I love Miley Cyrus's voice.
Okay.
And she's still very young. She's been around for a while to be as young as she is. But you know, artists like her who have a different vibe, a different sound, who aren't, you know, so cookie cutter, you know. And like Bruno Mars, you mentioned him. He's been around for a while. I'm a big Bruno Mars fan. But yeah, I like some Beyonce music. Not crazy about, you know, the country album. I mean, people, my niece loves it, you know.
Well,
But then
in all respect to Beyonce, she even said it's not really country.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's right.
Yeah.
Because I actually love some country artists. Like I was a big fan. I hated when they broke up. I was a huge fan of Rascal Flatts.
Oh
And
yeah, me too.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just loved
Yeah.
them. So I kind of like music in all genres, you know, and different artists like the Lainey Wilson. She's, you know, she's been on the scene for just a few years, and I really like her. She's got a great voice, you know. So there are quite a few out there, you know, scattered around in different genres that, you know, I really like to listen to. Hope their careers just, you know, keep growing.
I'm curious about you in this regard. Um, I have this feeling about artists: they either evolve or they die. They have to keep going because once you say, "I think I've done enough," it's over. You can't keep playing the same old tune. So, where do you see yourself going? 5 years out from now, what do you see yourself doing?
I would like to still be performing and recording, but I saw this thing that I had put on Facebook in my Facebook memories today. And it was talking about, it was from 2014, so 10 years ago. I was talking about doing something that I'd wanted to do since I was 16 years old. And, you know, and when you have something in your heart, you know, it's because to me, God put it there, you know, and I never desired to be, you know, an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer or any of that. That was not in my heart. But this dream that I had, I've now started doing it. I wanted to be a concert producer and promoter, and 10 years after that post, you know, I'm now doing it. So that's something that I would like to do. And I'd like to have one day, and I've thought of this for years, but I don't even know what I would do. I would like to have like a food truck.
That's great.
I've always
Now
thought
that's
that.
what I never would have guessed.
But maybe it would either be soul food or it would be like desserts or ice cream truck, you know, or something like that. I've always wanted to do that. And maybe in the south of France even.
Well, I could see you doing that, not because of the truck, because it would be great to be in the south of France.
My favorite place. You know,
Oh, yeah. Me too. Me too. I had dreams of moving to Provence at one point, but when I realized an 800-foot flat, 800 square feet would be $1 million, it was out of my range for 800 square feet.
that's a lot.
But yeah, let's wrap up with one of your songs I really love also. I mean, I love all your songs. I want to play Moments for everybody. So,
Okay.
and that was featuring Marion Meadows. So why don't you talk about that a little bit, how that came about with Marion, how this happened?
I've never met Marion. I hope to one day, but Big Dog got him to play on this song. And I wrote most of the lyrics for this, but it was Big Dog's music. It's funny when he gives you some music to write to. He doesn't give you a blank song and says, "Hey, figure it out." He has a name for the song. He has an idea of exactly what that song is about. Sometimes it even has the background vocals on it, and then he'll say, "Here, and you want to write this?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll I'll meld myself into your creative thinking for this, and we'll make it happen. And came up with the lyrics for Moments. He did a little bit of the lyric, and so did another vocalist and lyricist, Fred Sawyers, wrote some of it, but I think I did most of it.
Something else that came to me that is really important in artist development we don't think of. You're tied to Youngstown, and a number of these people you're talking about came from Youngstown. And I think the musical environment that people in is very often underestimated. People think about Cali, or they think about New York, or Chicago, but they don't realize how many artists came out of Lubbock, Texas, or come out of Youngstown, Ohio, and how important it is in the formative years of music development. So it's,
Ohio had tons of, just Ohio period had a lot of musicians. Dean Martin was from Ohio. The Ohio Players, Roger Troutman and Zapp, the Dazz Band, just tons of very talented artists and musicians came out of Ohio.
Absolutely. So let's play Moments, and this is a wonderful song featuring Marion Meadows. It's by Sharon Rae Nirth. And here we go with Moments.
It's the moments of love really never says goodbye. Don't know when you walk away. I wonder when I'll see you again. No show, I put away my pain and save it for a rainy day. I'm tired of your love, I'm tired of all your mistakes. But when you're in love, it's about the give and take. Moments of love, moments that you take it away. Moments of love, even on a cloudy day. On a cloudy day, moments of love, I see it all in your eyes. It's the moments of love, really never says goodbye. I see it all in your eyes. It's the moments of love really never says goodbye.
You know, one of the things I love about your music, Sharon, no two songs sound alike. This song, to me, had a lot of Middle Eastern influences.
Yeah,
That's the way.
yeah, it
Yeah,
does
and
sound like that.
yeah, and you know, your music is so interesting because you know it's not same old. I mean, it's just totally different.
Mhm.
And you know, it's a wonderful talent. I'm so glad I was able to have you on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
my pleasure. Why don't you tell people, you know, where they can reach you and what's, you know, what you're working on now with the festival, or how they can get tickets? Go ahead.
Okay. My website is SharonRaeNirth.com. And at the top, there's a banner kind of, and you can click in that and it will take you into the website for the festival, Smooth Summer Sessions at the Playhouse. Or you can just go to that website, which is the name of our company, touchofclassva.com.
Wonderful. Well, look, I hope to have you back again. I hope you're willing to come back one more time.
Absolutely.
When you drop some more music, you know, let me know.
Okay.
You know, and you know, it was just a pleasure and a delightful evening. So I thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, good night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. As usual, we had another great artist, and we have more artists every single week. And I'm going to surprise you with some of the names that you're going to be seeing on the show. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you again soon. I'm Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion Power
My name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.